Alright, so now we'll be understanding REST memory management techniques. Okay, so REST has its own ownership model, and it creates some new topics to understand. That is first ownership. So what ownership is, it is each value has a single owner at a time. So whenever the owner goes out of scope, the memory is freed automatically. So what it means is, consider uh, an S1 variable and you assign a data to it. So the S1 owns that string. Consider everything below is commented. So when it goes out of scope, you can see as S1 owned the data, which is now also deleted. And now as there is no owner for the data inside string from function, the data will be freed automatically. So this is how REST manages memory and deletes the data allocated in the heap. Second concept is moving. So what moving is, I'll explain it just a second. Alright, so what moving is, it assigns the value of one variable to another, and if you try to access the second variable of which the value has been moved to the other variable, then the first variable becomes invalid. So what it means is, consider the below code. You create a s1 variable, provide some value to it, and in the next line you also create s2. But what you do there is create s2 equal to s1. So the s1 value moves to s2, and now s2 is no longer valid. So if you try to print s2, it works perfectly fine because the values move to s2. But if you try to print s1, then it will give us a compile time error stating that s1 value is already moved to s2 and you cannot access s2 anymore. Alright, so this is what moving is in REST. How it will help us, or how you can write programs with it, can be explained better with the next slide. So consider borrowing. So what borrowing is, it is an act of passing reference, which is can be either mutable or immutable, uh, of a value to another function or scope while retaining the ownership. So the ownership is retained, and the value of the value in the original scope. So what it means is, consider you created a function print length, and it is a parameter s, and you can see it is the s parameter is passed as a reference. So in the main function, when you create a string x, and if you try to pass that x into that function print length as a reference, and try to print this x in the next line, the ownership is not lost uh, as done previously. As consider s2 is equals to s1. If you passed it as a reference here, then the ownership will not be lost, and s2 will now contain this value hello rest, and it can be accessed perfectly fine, both. But consider if we didn't pass x as a reference. So if we try to remove this and remove this and here, then the x ownership will be passed on to the print length function. And if you then try to access x after print length, then the ownership will be lost and you cannot be able to access x. All right, so will there be a memory leak in rust? So consider the function create string. So you created a function name, provided some value, and you printed it. Now in the main function, you called create string. So in memory, what happens is, a stack frame will be created for main. It will create a pointer to create string, create string, and that create string has a name and a pointer to println. Now when create string is fully executed, you can see the println will be removed from the stack and the name will be removed from the stack. But as this name is the owner of this value, so when this stack frame goes out of scope, this name which was the owner also goes out of scope. And according to the rule of ownership, which is that if the owner goes out of scope, the memory is also freed automatically. So the memory, heap memory, which had the value hello world, will be freed automatically, and the heap memory and the stack frame will all be deleted, hence executing the program perfectly. All right.